We've got James Clifford, who's going to be unboxing Final Fantasy Opus 5 for store singles. So I'm going to pass it straight over to him. Cheers.
Good morning, guys. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's James. I work down at Weekend Warlords, and other than just being here and helping everyone with whatever they want, I also run our Final Fantasy tournaments and events we have weekly. And today I'm going to be opening a box of Opus 5 for our store singles. Now, I know a lot of you that come in store have already seen a lot of Opus 5 due to the pre-releases and our weekly tournaments, and everyone just, really getting involved with the latest set. But the cool thing about this box is this is going all into our store singles folder, so you'll be able to look at them up close and personal. And today I'm just going to open up all our cards. We're going to find some of the new interesting cards of the set. We'll put them down over here just so you can have a further read of them. So as I'm talking, I might as well open the box really. So just as I am opening the box, for those who don't know, on May 27th this year, so that's in a couple of months' time, we will be hosting our very first Final Fantasy regional event here in the store. The event details will be following after this unboxing, so make sure you stay on the ball for that, because you'll want to make sure that you can get your tickets. We will have some limited space. So I'm going to jump straight in with our first booster. For anyone who hasn't opened a Final Fantasy booster before, you get 12 cards a set, including a foil. You get 8 commons, 4 rares, the foil, which could be of any rarity, and then you get 1 hero or rare. So I'll jump straight to the foil just for now, which is also an interesting card out of Opus 5, which is 2-cost backup Ninja. Now, what's cool about this card is not only is it a cheap cost backup, and you get your CP from it all the way through the game, but it's a simple action ability to allow to pick one of your forwards and one of your opponent's forwards, should I say, and it cannot block for the turn. Now, yeah, you are putting Ninja into the break zone, so you're losing the backup straight away. But how handy is that? Not allowing your opponent to block your attacks for a turn. So we'll just have a flick through some of the commons in this first opening pack. We've got 2-cost Flintlock there for water, 2-cost Thaumaturge for ice, 2-cost Orator for water, 2-cost Warrior for fire. Another interesting card for Opus 5, straight out of the box. Now, I'm not just going to focus on fire, even though it's one of my favourites. But this, again, for such a cheap card, having it on your field and being able to give plus 2,000 power to all the fire forwards you control, absolutely amazing in a mono-fire deck. And just a cheap forward to have out for those unfortunate blocks you have to block. Rest of the commons in the set, White Mage, Dark Knight. Dark Knight's pretty handy. For 1 CP, you can deal 1,000 damage to all the forwards your opponent controls, but it also takes 2,000 damage itself. What's interesting about this is you'll find that there's a few cards all through the set which have this ability to deal out damage to a forward's, the opponent's control, and they also take damage themselves. It's one of the mechanics we're seeing a lot of all the way through the different elements in Opus 5. First monster we've drawn of Opus 5, Flandit. It's an action ability where you can choose one of your forwards' opponent controls. If your opponent doesn't pay 1 CP of any colour, it cannot block this turn. Again, a bit more unblockable coming through. Another monster we've got out is a Bookadboo, which is easier to read than to say. It's a 2-cost monster, and when a character of your opponent enters the field, you can put Bookaboo into the break zone. If you do so, your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. Now, there's a couple of monsters with this wording in Opus 5 at the moment. We're yet to see an FAQ to confirm how it works. So as reads, when a character of your opponent enters the field, you put the Bookaboo into the break zone. Doesn't seem to give you an option to do so, more a mandatory choice. It then, however, does say if you do so, your opponent discards 2 cards from his/her hand. I'm going to leave it up to you to make your choice on this. We have a couple of opinions in store, and we're just waiting to get confirmation from Square Enix as to exactly how that works. A rare of the set, Mion. We've got another rare, which is Heretical Knight Garland, which is not seeming to get a lot of love this set for a 7-cost. It's quite over costly for what you get from it. And our hero for this pack is Carmlanot, which is getting a lot of play. It's a 5-cost 9k, so quite high power output, but it's more the case that each turn in your first phase, you can choose an element for Carmlanot to be. What this does, this gives you an opportunity to put a second dark element card onto the field, which obviously you're not able to do in any normal circumstances unless you have Chaos as a backup. But it also means that he is unable to be targeted by abilities or summons of that element. So if you're going against any mono deck, you can pretty much shut down a lot of their offense. And that just makes it an absolutely very versatile card. One of the cool things about this set is the dark and light cards in this set are getting a lot of play due to their versatility. Now, we spent a bit of time on that one booster, so I'm just going to start tearing through these now just to speed up. If there are any cards you want me to slow down and have a look at, just drop in the comments below and we'll pull it onto the close-up and talk about it more. So, going through these, for commons, we've got Bunker Beast, Botanist, Elementist, Lanista, Berserker and Ondor. Arithmetician. For our foil, we've got Flintlock. Excuse me, there we are. Nice foil Flintlock there. Choose one forward. It doesn't receive any damage less than its power for this turn, so almost like a miniature Minwu. So that's very handy. For our rares, we've got Hill Gigas. Very handy monster that shuts down action abilities for the turn. Carla, Destin, and then for our hero, we've got Sid. Let's go straight into our next booster. For our commons, Moogle Knight, Chocobo, Black Mage, Fighter, Chocobo Knight, Dragoon, Arcanist, and then for our foil, we've got Bunker Beast, which is a monster we come across earlier. Choose one blocking forward, loses 2k power to the end of the turn. Very handy in Lightning decks, especially with the combination of summons like Cyclops, which reduces your opponent's field by 3000 power. What's nice about this, it's one of the only monsters that gets to do an action ability that doesn't pull it into the break zone, so it stays on the field and can keep doing that each and every turn. Our rares for this set, Gumbar, Nana Migo, Grenade, a very handy little monster there, and played card in water decks already pretty rapidly is Refia for our hero. Give you a chance to look at that. Helps out in Warrior of Light decks and water decks both. Go straight to our next one. Commons for this set, Red Mage, Master Monk, Ranger, Conjurer, Arithmetician, Fighter, Arcanist again. Our foil is Sid of Clan Gully. So there we go, you can see that. For a 3 cost, when Sid of Clan Gully enters the field, you may search for a category Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2, which a lot of are in Opus 5, so it's a very handy search card if you're planning to build a multi-element deck just based around this Opus. Our rares are Zed, Layak, so I'm just going to show you Layak quickly because this is another monster with the same wording. When a forward opponent controls attacks, put Layak into the break zone. Again, sounds like you have to, but then it does say, if you do so, activate all the characters you control, draw a card. Now, what's so powerful about this, it's not just forwards, it's every character, that's backups, forwards, monsters, and obviously you get some card draw there as well. Another rare for this pack is Vossler, and our hero, which is not actually a hero, it's a legendary, and probably one of the most used cards in Opus 5 so far in this store, is Legendary Light Varn. Now, what is so cool about Legendary Light Varn? Well, it's a 5 cost forward of 8000 power, so it's pretty decent in its own right. But the real special thing about him is the choice of 2 of the 5 following actions when he attacks. You've got draw a card. Pretty simple, pretty handy. Get a bit of CP to hand. Could have something that could then affect the rest of your combat phase, who knows. Choose a backup and activate it. Again, pretty handy. You can use that to then use a character ability, use some CP for a summon during the same combat phase. But it's the final 3 that really make Varn absolutely amazing. So you can choose one of your opponent's forwards, or sorry, a forward if you wanted to do your own, and dull it. You can then choose a forward to give it plus 2000 power to the end of the turn to possibly get over an opponent's block. And you've also got to choose a forward it cannot block this turn. So if your opponent's only got 2 forwards out, you can dull one, choose the other one not to block, swing through with every single forward you've got on your side of the field. Absolutely amazing. The fact that it's light means it can pretty much go in any deck you can put your mind to, and I do think one of the top cards from this set. So we've already got one of these going into the store folder, along with every other card we pull. Let's go straight into our next pack. Commons, Chocobo, Warrior, Conjurer, Schrodinger, Riot, Cockatrice, and Spicer Lillian. I think I'm saying that right. It's pretty awkward. I'll let you make your mind up. Our foil for this is a basic Dragoon, although it does have pay 1 CP, gets first strike until the end of the turn, cheap 7,000 power forward with the ability of first strike. Pretty handy. Our rares for this, again, Heretical Knight Garland, Grenade and Nuggy from the Cadets, and hero for this, another light card. It's Warrior of Light, or WOL, as they're being named, so you can get more of them onto your field in this set. When he enters the field, you can reveal 5 top cards of your deck, add 1 Warrior of Light among them to your hand, and return the other card to the bottom of your deck in any order. When WOL is put from the field into the break zone, choose 1 Job Warrior of Light of cost 3 or less in your break zone and put it onto the field. Very handy for Warrior of Light decks, for the buffs, for finding more cards, and also getting 1 back from your break zone. Will it see play in any other decks though? I don't think so. It's very much a specific card, and it's very much going to work for those using the Warrior of Light decks. For anyone who just heard that background noise, it was just our plumbing going crazy. Don't worry about it, we're not blowing up or anything. Commons in our next pack: Thaumaturge, Green Mage, Thief, Psychon Warden, Paravir, White Mage and Assassin. Our foil for this is a very nice bit of artwork there, and also the cover art to the pre-release, which is Minfilia from Final Fantasy 14, which is the online MMO. It's an EX burst. When Minfilia enters the field, you may search for 1 job sign of the 7th Dawn forward and add it to your hand. It also has the action ability of 1 Earth CP to put her into the break zone, choose 1 forward your opponent controls, break it. You can only use this ability if you control 5 or more job sign of the 7th Dawns. Now, I've only seen around 3 of these in this Opus so far, and I can't think of any from Opus 4 or before. So if you can think of any, let me know, because it'd just be handy to know. But what is interesting is there are a few cards in this set that seem to be future-proofing for later releases. We've got a monster in it with an action ability of level 5 Death, which destroys all 5 and 10 cost forwards on your opponent's side of the table, and we're yet to see a 10 cost. So again, more future-proofing. Great heads up to show that they are thinking about what cards are coming soon in our future sets. So they're nowhere near done yet. Rares from this pack: we've got Caius, Herdy, and Baderon. And we've got another legendary in Yustola. So Yustola doesn't receive any damage from summons or abilities, and you can put Yustola into the break zone to choose 1 summon or auto ability and cancel its effect. Now, while that seems a bit extreme, putting a forward of a legendary status into the break zone, it is only a 3 cost forward, and I think it's not so much the summon but the auto ability cancellation, which is massive on this card. Auto abilities can include anything from hitting field or hitting break zones, and being able to cancel it is a massive deal. So you could cancel Renoa hitting the break zone and dulling all your forwards. So very nice legendary card. Very nice. Let's move on to our next booster. So commons for this, we've got, I'll let you pronounce that, Rex, Vane, Miner, Fisher, Trickster, Red Mage, our forward, which is a very favourite card of the set for a gamer in store that likes doing the discard ice deck, no names mentioned. But when Edward enters the field, your opponent discards 1 card from her hand. He's also got a special ability which he can choose a summon and cancel its effect and stay on field. We've already had a fair few Edward cards in previous sets, so you'll be able to run that in an ice deck quite comfortably. Being able to cancel a summon, always handy, and just a backup that makes you discard a card from your opponent's hand is always annoying when you're playing against it. Our rares for this set: Heretical Knight Garland, Nagi, Vossler again, and our hero, another very popular card, especially for Earth decks, is Ignus. So it's another Warrior of Light, which would work very well with WoW on its deck and various other Warrior Lights. But what also it gives is plus 1,000 power to all Earth forwards other than Ignus. So if you combine that with your, I've forgotten her name now, there's a backup, World of Final Fantasy, Enacross, there we go. You're going to be able to give plus 2,000 power to all Earth forwards with a combination of those 2 cards. And then also you've got a choice of dulling all 3 active Earth forwards or Earth backups. You can choose 1 forward and it gives it another 2k. So in actual fact, quite simply, you get a forward up by 4,000 power each turn, no problem with Ignus on the field. It does, however, take 1 of your forward slots. Possibly not what I'd go for myself, but it can be very handy in mono Earth decks. let's go straight into this next video. So I'm going to try and speed up a bit, guys, just so we're not having you sitting on the live stream for like hours out your day. So commons: Ifrit, Psycom Enforcer, Orator, Warrior, Ravager, the one I can't pronounce, Odor. We've got a nice foil Refia, which we saw earlier. There you are, have a chance to look at that. Grenade, Black Knight, and Gorilla Rare. And then hero is Thancred. So let you have a look at that and have a read of what its abilities are. I'm just going to go straight into some more boosters, and I'll stop when I find some really interesting cards. But please don't feel offended if I don't feel like this card is overly interesting, even if you do. Commons: Green Mage, Scholar, Mog from Mobius Final Fantasy, Dragoon, Chocobo Knight, Cockatrice, Mansvin Warmech, Foil Lebrow. I'm going to stop there just for a minute because this card is not actually getting a lot of love in this set, and I'll explain why. So this is an action ability card which you get to choose a category Final Fantasy 13 forward and give it 1k until the end of the turn for a 2-cost backup. Now, where some may feel that, you know, as a 2-cost it's quite cheap to get onto the field, is it something you want to do when you've got a specific forward that you have to give the power boost to? If you look at Lebrow from, I think it was Opus 1, it's a 3-cost and it gives all fire forwards plus 1k. Just something for you to think about. Our rares from this set are Graviton, Sid of Clan Gully, Celestia, and our hero is Luna. Just chuck him on there so you can have a look. Commons in this: Psycom Enforcer, Mystic Knight, Elementalist, Mateus, Dragoon, Chocobo Knight, Cockatrice, Foil. Very, very nice artwork. And from the translation, although they can't license it, it pretty much means Doom Train, because it's easier to say than what is written on that card. Another lovely summon, and a lot of another card within this set that has the options of choosing multiple effects when you cast them. So for this, you've got the choice of 2 out of the 4. Choose 1 forward, dull it, discard a card from your opponent's hand, choose 1 forward, freeze it, or choose 1 dull forward and deal it 7,000 damage. So very, very nice summon. Our rares from the set are Goomba, Aria from Type 0, Quan, and we've got another legendary in Porom. So Porom and Palom are 2 of the legendaries in this deck, 1 for water, 1 for fire, getting a lot of love throughout the opuses, giving you more of a chance to take them all in a deck, either a water, fire, or just for a mono of either. Both have some lovely abilities to them. Commons: Moogle Knight, Red Mage, Schrodinger, Mansvin Warmech, Ninja, Scholar, Orator. First foil monster, and a monster that's had a lot of speculation over how good it's going to be since it was chosen as one of the cards of the day by Square Enix. So, for a cost of 0 until the end of the turn, Ozma becomes a forward with 8,000 power, and Ozma doesn't receive any damage from dark cards. You can only use this ability once per turn. That alone is amazing. For a 0 cost, turning a monster into an 8k forward is very handy, because if it doesn't die, obviously it goes back to being a monster at the end of your turn, excuse me, and therefore harder for your opponent to target. Having it being unable to be targeted by dark cards is very handy, because a lot of the Dark and Light cards are some of the most powerful in the sets. And then we've got this little Flare Star, which is its special effect. All the forwards opponent controls lose 2,000 power for each CP required to play them until end of the turn. You can only use this ability if Ozma is a forward, which is handy to do when you don't pay any cost to making one. Now, what's really interesting about this is it's kind of a mirror effect. Is for your legendary cards, say like Varn, for instance. Let me just put Varn on top just for a second. For using that ability on Varn, will outright destroy it, because he'll lose 2k for every CP it costs for him to go onto the field. 5 CP, lose 10,000 power, it'll be removed from the turn. However, if you look at some of the smaller forwards, which don't think I've got any to hand, but there are smaller forwards which will be your 2-cost 8,000 blanket, you know, generic cards, which means they'll only drop down to a 6k for the turn. So it's a very interesting card to look for in your opponent's hand, in the way you'll play the rest of your game. For instance, if you see this on the field, you might want to go with your generic cheap cost, high power forwards, less CP to get them onto the field, because essentially its ability won't have any effect. The only problem is for Ozma is it's the only card of its name at the moment, so being able to get that special off will be quite tricky. Carrying on with this pack, our rares are Graviton, Cloudy, Sid of Clan Gully, and our hero is Iluna. Iluna is one of the 11 pieces of artwork which are only available in Opus 5. They haven't been used in any Square Enix game, card game, book, anything so far, so she's pretty cool. She's a 3-drop 6k with haste. During each turn, when Iluna is chosen by an opponent, summon her ability for the first time in that turn. You can cancel its effect, which is very handy. And also it's special, which is shield. Activate all the forwards you control. They gain haste until the end of the turn. All the forwards opponents control lose 2,000 power. That as a special, just for a name card drop, is fantastic, especially if you're running a wind, lightning, you know, reactivation, haste, unblockable deck. It'd be really handy. Again, the only problem that this card has is it is the only card I can think of. I may be wrong on this one, but it could be the only card of its namesake at the moment, so quite hard to get off. Let's run through some more boosters. Commons, Louis Sewell, Psychom Enforcer, Cannoneer, Ninja, Scholar, Orator, Arcanist, our foil. There's very nice art on this. It is Cloudy. Choose one job, Prince Forward or Job Knight Forward, activate it. Caius as a rare, Quan as a rare, and Doria as a rare, and a hero, Barnabas. Commons, Ninja, Rex, Mystic Knight, Schrodinger, Ride, Asura, Dark Knight. Very nice foil in this, a booster pack with the hero card, Vermilion. So the cool thing about this card is when he attacks, he gains first strike, so a 9k first strike is very handy. Also, if a forward is damaged by Vermilion and hits the break zone, he gets to reactivate himself. So he'll be there for your block inside of it as well. And he's got a nice little, he can also attack once again that turn. He also has a nice little 1-cost effect that he gains haste. So you can drop him for 5, pay an extra CP. You've got a 9k haste first strike that if he damages a forward enough to put it into the break zone, he gets to re-attack straight away. Rares for the rest of the pack, it's Echo, Sid of Clan Gully, Tombury, and our hero is Twilight Odin. This pack, our commons are Scholar, Bunker Beast, Black Mage, Fighter, Chocobo Knight, Dragoon, Arcanist, and our foil is Aimee. Our rares are Snow, Carla, Nana, Migo, and another legendary is what I was talking about earlier, is 5-cost Palom. So we'll go nice in a Fire Wolf deck with Palom, or just in a straight up Fire deck on in its own right. Don't worry if we're getting a bit of noise in the background, guys. We've just got opening the store up because we've run over our opening time, so there may be some people walking around, but hopefully you shouldn't notice it too much. So next pack, our commons are Ninja, Botanist, Thief, Berserker, Scholar, Mansvin, Warmech, and Ninja. Our foil is Mawini. Oh, you see that? There we are. Our rares are Leik, Gadot, Doga, and our hero is Arya. Our next pack, our commons are Warrior, Ranger, Vayne, Psychon Warden, Gesper, Flandit, Leviathan. I'm going to chuck Leviathan under here just because we've seen Leviathan in most of the opuses to date, and they are a very handy card. This one, again, because it's an EX burst, so if it does pop up any damage, it's still going to take effect. Choose one forward. If its cost is equal to or less than the number of cards in your hand, return it to the opponent's hand. So for a 1 cost, it's very cheap, especially if you're a player, you know, that likes to keep its hand size up while he's playing his turn. You'll be able to shift some nasty stuff from your opponent's field. Our foil for this deck is Doga, as you can see there. Our rares are Momody, Volker, and Bookaboo, and our hero is Star Sybil. Next pack, commons, warrior, green mage, Schrodinger, Ramu, ninja, Gesper, Leviathan, and our foil is Ark. Our rares are Uni, Dogar, Gadot, and our hero is the card from the pre-release, which is 2-cost lightning. What's very interesting about this card is a 2-drop haste, so if you're in your opening hand you can use it to get a quick point of damage, or if it's late in the game you can use it to get that all important seal to a win. But what's really interesting is at the end of the turn, lightning returns to the owner's hand. So it's not something that's ever going to be on the field for long, and you will need to get rid of it with a summon pretty quick. If you do want it just to be in the break zone, but it also means it's great for the person using it because it's 2 CP back in your hand that you could use in your opponents or in your further turns. Next pack, commons, Master Monk even, sorry, Thaumaturge, Mog, Cannoneer, Assassin, Arcanist, Red Mage. We've also got a foil, Arcanist. Oh. Get there so you can see them. Our rares are Semilafina. Again, I do apologise if I'm pronouncing these wrong, but let's be honest, some of the words don't really seem to make sense. We've also got Rare Onai, Gabranth, and our hero for this is the other Vermilion Bird, which is a very interesting backup. For a 4-cost backup, what happens to make this card interesting is it's an EX burst, and it enters the field. You may search for a category type 0, summon add it to your hand. But what's really cool is its ability. Now you will need full 5 backups to use this ability, but for a name drop and 2 cost, you get to put all 5 of your backups into the break zone and break all the forwards your opponent controls. So that's pretty offensive for a backup. Next pack. Commons, Flintlock, Scholar, Bane, Ramu, Gesper, Leviathan, Riot, our foil is Caius. Our rares are Goomba, Aria, Graviton, and our hero is a very nice 2-drop summon, Carbuncle. Oh, I have just lost that pack. I'll just give me 2 seconds and I'll find it. Here we go. Commons in this pack: Louis Snell, Psychon Enforcer, Vayne, Thief, Riot, Cockatrice, Spy Sicilian. Very nice foils. We've got a legendary foil this time round, which is Seamless, which seems to be that it might see a lot of play. X cost action ability. Choose 1 lightning forward in your break zone. If its cost is X, the amount of CP you play, pay for it, play onto the field. You can only use this ability during your main phase. So what's really cool about this, it's an 8k 4-drop forward, but with its ability, it's a consistent Sage or Devout, which allows you to bring forwards back from your break zone. And the really cool thing about this is because it's X, you can essentially choose who you want to come back every turn. Our rares from this set are Herdy, Destin, Clados, and our hero is Yang. Let's get that there for you. Next pack, common, Rex, Ifrit, Lannister, Assassin, Arcanist, Red Mage, Orator. Our foil is Rex. Handy little cards have in a win deck, especially if you're running Sky Pirates, as it's a 4-drop 8k forward, and when it's put into the break, so you can play a card named Varn from your hand, including the legendary for free, which is very nice if you're holding in hand. Our rares are Semilafina, Volca, Quan, and again Monster Ozma as our hero. Next pack, Commons Warrior, Master Monk, Mateus, Ramu, Gesper, Flandit, Leviathan. Our foil is Goomba. Our rares are Sid Reigns, Sarah from Mobius, Mioni, and our hero again is the Vermilion Bird. Forward. Next pack, commons are Mystic Knight, Moogle, Cannoneer, Conjurer, Trickster, Miner, Ravager. Our foil is Psychon Enforcer, which works well with other Psychon cards. Our rare is Semilafina, Kali Cheval, Clyde, and our hero is Alado, which has got some very nice artwork to it. Also a nice 1-drop for an 8k forward monster. Coming down to our last Third or so of packs are commons, Flintlock, Ranger, Elementist, Psychon Warden, Parivia, Asura, Fisher. Our foil is the new Ash. Very nice card. When Ash enters the field, if you control a job Sky Pirate, draw a card. Action ability, choose one job Sky Pirate and activate it. So it works very well in a water wind deck. Our rares are Pinello, Gabranth, Nagi, and another legendary is the new Ice Emperor. Very nice. When you drop it onto the field, pay 1, your opponent discards a card from their hand. And its other ability, which is great for ongoing through the game, when your opponent draws a card outside of his/her draw phase, choose one forward your opponent controls, dull it and freeze it. It's a simple effect, but very workable, especially in decks that are going to draw cards, essentially win decks, mill decks, anything along those lines. Next pack, commons, Green Mage, Luisnu, Mateus, Orator, White Mage, Dark Knight, Flandit. Our foil is a starter card, which is very nice. You don't see too many of them per set, and that's Sarah. Our rares are Leik, Gadot, Gorilla, and our hero is the Ice backup Edward, which we've seen. Our next pack, commons are Rex, Ifrit, Warrior, Lannister, Arithmetician, Fighter, Arcanist. Our foil is the monster which we saw earlier, Leik. Our rares are Dogar, Destin, and Tomberry, and our hero is Gabrina, which is a monster. Next pack, commons are Chocobo, Ninja, Mog, Cannoneer, Arcanist, Riot, Asura. Our foil is, like what I was saying earlier, basic 4-drop 8k, so it would just unfortunately get killed by the monster's ability we was talking about earlier. I forget its name, but again, it's a nice quick drop for cost 8k. Our rares are Sid Brains, Masuki, Celestia, and another legendary, from the set is Lightning Ramza. So with this legendary, the cost required to play Ramza onto the field is reduced by 1 for each forward you control, but it cannot become 0. For each forward other than Ramza you control, Ramza gets plus 1,000 power, and if Razma has 10,000 power or more, she also gains haste. And when Ramza attacks, choose one forward of cost 3 or less your opponent controls and breaks it. So she becomes very powerful, very quick, and quite hard to shift from the field. Commons from this set, Botanist, Flintlock, Thief, Dark Knight, Berserker, Ondor, Arithmetician. Our foil is a very handy Earth backup, which is minor, which allows you to get backups and forwards from your break zone. Our monsters, our rares, Hill Gigas, Treon, Tomberry, and our hero for the set, Adele. Very cheap, very handy win forward, only 5k, but just pay 1 cost and she cannot be blocked. She also has haste, so can swing on the turn she arrives. Next pack. Commons, Botanist, Scholar, Mateus, Black Mage, Berserker, Scholar, Manzin Warmech. Our foil is Zed, very nice ice card forward, 5 cost 9k. When he's dealt damage by a character, that character's controller discards 1 card from his/her hand. Excuse me. And for 1 cost, he does gains plus 1,000 power until the end of the turn, so quick, cheap cost to get him up to a 10k forward, which is always hard to shift. Our rares are Matsuki, Arya, Badaron, and our hero is Luge. Next pack, commons, Red Mage, Chocobo, Mog, Orator, Pavrir, Asura, Fisher. Our foil is 2 cost backup for Wind Thief. Nice simple backup. Our rares are Une, Gabranth, Treon, and our next legendary, which is one of the rarer legendaries that we've seen so far from this set. It's the 5 cost summon, Diablos. Diablos, again, another one of these cards where you get multiple effects. Choose two of the following 4 actions. Choose 1 forward of cost 5 or more, break it. Choose 1 forward of cost 4 or less until the end of the turn. Its power becomes 1,000. Activate all the forwards you control. Activate all the backups you control. A lot of uses for this card. depending on how many forwards or what your opponent has on the field, or what you need to make sure that you can guarantee either defensive or offensive strength for your next turn. Next pack, Commons, Bunker Beast, Warrior, Psychon, Warden, Black Mage, Cockatrice, Spicillion, Assassin. Our foil is a nice foil cost. Thancred. Rares, Sid Reigns, Matsuki, Clandi, and our hero is the Ghost Train, which we saw earlier. Next pack. Commons are Chocobo, Mystic Knight, Orator, Red Mage, Ravager, Spicillion, Ondor, and our foil is the Orator. Our rares are Echo, AMA, and Doria, and our hero is the Water Rosa, another one of the artworks that you can only see in Opus 5. Coming down to our final 4 packs, guys. We're almost there. Thanks for sticking with us if you've been watching. Our commons are Moogle Knight, Thaumaturge, Bunker Beast, Ramu, Pavarir, White Mage, Assassin. Very nice foil artwork of 2-cost summon Carbuncle. Rares are Pinello, Black Knight, Corellia, and our hero is a monster, and it is the Royal Ripeness. Royal Ripeness is very interesting. It cannot be chosen by fire summons or fire abilities. And for a 1-cost until the end of the turn, it's a forward with 9,000 power, and when it attacks, deals 3,000 damage to all the forward's opponent's control. This can be very handy in a fire deck combined with things like Emperor Zande, so you're guaranteeing doing 8k at least for 1 forward a turn. You could also buff it with backups that boost by your power. If you have it on a Palom deck, it's going to go up to 4k to all opponents' forwards has. Very effective in a damage output fire deck. Our next pack, commons are Red Mage, Ifrit, Lannister, Conjurer, Trickster, Miner, Ravager. We have a foil Assassin. Our rares are Snow, Momody, AMA, and our hero is Ark. There you have, take a look at that. Penultimate pack. Our commons are Ranger, Moogle Knight, Conjurer, Schrodinger, Arcanist, Red Mage, Orator. Our foil is Teller. Now Teller's very handy in this set, just because of the fact it's got some namesake cards from previous. So its action ability of put Teller into the break zone, choose 1 forward, deal it 7,000 power is pretty handy, although its real offensive capabilities comes on with recall. So for 1 other Teller card, a point of CP and an action ability, you can choose 1 forward, remove the top card of your deck from the game, deal it 4,000 damage for each CP required to play the removed card. Now this is a bit of a gamble, but if you're playing in a high cost fire deck, which personally I would, you could do quite a lot of damage to any forward, 1 of the forwards your opponent controls, and pretty much guarantee its removal from play. The rares from this set are Hill, Giga, Snow, and Nagi, and oh, that's pretty handy. The hero in this set is also another Teller, so there you go. You can see just how quickly you can build up his namesake cards to pull off that effect. Our final pack from this box. Let's see if we get luck. Our commons are Ninja, Master Monk, Elementalist, Warrior, Miner, Fisher, Trickster. We have a foil legendary Parom in our final pack, which is very, very nice. Our rares are Sarah, Zed, Kalia, and our hero is Luso. Again, another card with the Opus 5 only artwork, which is very nice. And when Luso enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 category Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 card among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. Pay 1 CP, he gains first strike until the end of the turn. That is our box of Opus 5. As you can see, it's empty. I hope I haven't rambled on too much, and I hope you've got something out of the box opening today. All these cards will be going into the store's single folder, so you can come and have a peruse and pick out any that you may be after. Finally, just a reminder that on the 27th of May, we will be holding our first Final Fantasy regional event. Now, what's cool about the regional event is not only will there be prizes for you on the day, plus some exclusive artwork promos, whoever wins the regional will get a free ticket to the national event. If we have enough players, you'll also get a bye in the first round, and runner-up will also get their ticket paid for nationals. We will have weekly promo tournaments every Monday at 7:30 from this week onwards. So if you want to come down and flex your Final Fantasy muscle, come and see us down at Weekend Warlords.
Thanks very much to James Clifford there. If you're looking to comment on any of our streams, you really need to be on our groups, our Weekend Warlords groups, and in the future probably the YouTube channel as well. So if you're not on the YouTube channel, head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Weekend Warlords YouTube channel. Thanks again to James, and we'll catch you all later.